It's fire pit season, guys, and today I'm gonna show you how to make a fire pit that I guarantee you none of your neighbors or your friends or family are going to have. It's beautiful, it's welcoming, and it is a fantastic conversation piece. And to top it all off, it's smokeless. I know you've seen 100 of these already, but we're gonna do this one Michael Build style. So let's make something really cool. Before we even get started on this video, I just want to thank the Hacksman and Brad from Fix This Build That for inspiring this whole video. Could not have done it without you guys, so please don't subscribe to my channel today, subscribe to theirs. I promise you won't regret it. Alright, so there are hundreds of fire pit videos out there, but this one's gonna be different because we are gonna take it one step further by surrounding it with this really cool concrete compass design. So this video is gonna be all about the molds, and we've got 4 of them to make. I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not that big a deal once you start breaking it down. We've got the large triangle for north, south, east, and west. We've got the small triangle for everything in between. We've got this quarter mold for the big ring surrounding it, and we got the cap for the actual fire pit. We just gotta start by cutting up the big sheet of melamine. Now, when it comes to the melamine, I've designed this so that we can make pretty much all of our molds out of one sheet of melamine. It's just that melamine is very heavy and awkward. So I've also designed this so that not only can you make all your molds out of one sheet of melamine, but you can also have them rip it in half at the store to make this so much more manageable. There will be a cut diagram listed in the link down below, along with the plans and dimensions for this whole project. So if you want to help support the channel, another great way to do so. The only other thing that we are going to need is a thin 1/4 inch sheet of whiteboard for the bendy sides, to build the bendy sides up. But after we cut the shapes out, very easy from there. Another thing I found very helpful was to cut the basic footprint out of the shapes first, then cut the triangle or the curve piece, much easier. But when it comes to laying out the curves, this is how I do it. To lay out the arcs, you see me do this before. I make a nice long story stick, drill some holes for the 5 arcs that you're gonna be laying out. Just make sure that the holes are big enough for the pencil or the marker that you're gonna use. Again, I will have very specific dimensions in the description below for this particular story stick. Screw down your pivot point. Lay down the melamine, insert your marker, and go ahead and scribe your arches. A very old trick, but still very, very useful. Before you remove your story stick, don't forget to mark and scribe your degree lines. We're gonna need those in a bit. Once you get all of your shapes cut out, before you move on to adding the sides, stop right there. I want to trace all the designs with 100% silicone, just like we did with the patio steps. Only this time, I'm gonna actually use a straight edge this time, and that will ensure a much straighter line than what we got with the patio steps. But just like with the patio steps, we are going to make the lines with 100% silicone, and we're going to cut a V-shaped groove on the tip. When we pour the concrete and take the concrete out, it's going to give us this great V-shaped groove in the designs that we want. Once you've let the silicone designs cure for a couple hours, then you can go ahead and add all of your rigid sides on, attaching them with 1.5 inch screws. After that, you can go ahead and add your flexible whiteboard sides, again attaching them with 1.5 inch screws. After your sides are attached, you can go ahead and seal all the corners up with 100% silicone. I am using a white caulk right now because apparently there's some sort of black caulks shortage right now. I went to 3 stores, can't find any. I'm sure you understand that it doesn't matter what color caulk it is. I normally use black so I can see it better. But don't forget to use my really cool foam glass cleaner trick where you go ahead and lay a nice bead of caulk and then you spray it down with the foam glass cleaner. Then you go ahead and scrape the corners. Once again, I'm using this really cool caulk edging tool. I'm gonna use a chamfer to kind of match the chamfers of the design. And that's it, your molds are done. We're ready to pour. And don't forget to pre-cut all of your metal reinforcement before you set up for the pour. I love to forget that one. I hate cutting this stuff because it's like a cheese grater for your knuckles. So wear gloves. Work smarter, not stupider. Before we pour, just wanted to take a quick second to thank Rapid Set for donating this mountain of Rapid Set mortar mix behind me. No, this video is not sponsored by Rapid Set, but they did donate quite a bit of material just for this video, just for fun. So thank you again, Rapid Set, for supporting the channel. All right, time to pour. I got everything that I think that I could possibly need because this is a large pour, multiple bags. I want to make sure that I am built for speed. I've already got my molds sprayed down with WD-40 and I wiped off the excess. I've got all my tools right here. I've got my drill all powered up with an extra battery on standby. Got my water. I think this is only going to take about 4 bags to do all 4 of these molds, but I've got 5 bags open ready to go just in case. But I also have my flow control bags open and ready to go. Don't try to attempt a project like this without flow control. It's going to take that peanut butter consistency, turn it into a pancake batter consistency instantly, making it so much easier to pour and making the job go way quicker and way smoother. So just like we always do, I like to start off with 5 quarts of water in the bucket. Then I'm gonna pour my mortar mix in and mix it. Once I get that mixed to that peanut butter consistency, I'm gonna go ahead and pour a whole bag of flow control in. Mix that, and it's gonna instantly take it to a pancake batter consistency. Then I just go ahead and pour, and once I start pouring, I'm not gonna stop until it's done. Walk around and start tapping the sides of the molds real quick to tap those bubbles out. Now after I'm done doing that, that's when I'm going to start my cleanup. While I wait for the forms to start to set up, it should only take about 15 minutes to a half hour for you to start to see them start to set up. You'll start to see light spots. That's when it's going to start to get very hot. That's when it becomes very important to water cure them. Keep them saturated, keep them wet with water until they cool down. That's going to avoid surface cracks. After 1 hour of set time is up, you can go ahead and demold these puppies and start again. All right, so that was exactly 4 bags of Rapid Set mortar mix, and it only took me about 15 minutes to pour. We're gonna do this 4 times to have a complete compass. As far as the cap for the fire pit is concerned, you're gonna have to pour that 2 more times to get 6 pieces for the whole cap. Well, the good news is that the hard part is over. Now we can focus on prepping the actual fire pit area. We're gonna start by laying out our outer diameter. I'm also gonna mark my north, south, east, and west markers, which the diameter is bigger by about 6 inches. When it comes to excavating the fire pit area, we're only gonna dig down about 1 to 2 inches. We're gonna leave about 1 inch for the paver base. The rest of it is however much you want the concrete to stick up above the grass. By the way, quick tip, save some of the sod pieces that you gather. I'll show you what you can do with these later. Get that leveled off nicely. Tamp the base down real good. Don't forget to dig out all the triangles in all four corners. As far as laying out the big triangles are concerned, just use some mason line and make sure that they're square to each other. That's it. And yes, it is pointing true north. Then after that's done, you're gonna move on to laying out the weed barrier. Obviously we don't need it in the center, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's just easier. Don't do this on a windy day. Spread out your paver base, again, about 1 inch thickness. Make sure it's nice and level, then tamp that down real good. I just realized that it's completely unnecessary to put paver base in the middle, so I'm gonna put the metal fire ring in the middle just temporarily. All right, now that we've got that all tamped down and make sure that it's level, I'm gonna remove the metal fire ring and we're gonna go drill some holes in it. But before we do that, I just want to share a little announcement with you. We are officially announcing the Michael Builds Patreon. So if you love this content and want to help keep the lights on and the concrete flowing, this is a great way to support the channel. And there's going to be a host of benefits to come with the Michael Builds Patreon. There are going to be different tiers with different benefits, but everybody that joins is going to get their name on this board, which is going to be featured in every one of my videos. Okay, so maybe most of these are fake names, except for these guys. Matt Weaver, of course, for being the original patron to the Michael Builds channel, for donating this awesome shed. Jonathan Lee is the official first Michael Builds Patreon member. Thank you so much, Jonathan. So please consider being a Michael Builds patron. I promise you won't regret it. So let's get back to the video. All right, let's get to work on the galvanized fire pit ring. You can pick these up at all sorts of different places. I got mine at Tractor Supply Plus. I drilled 2 sets of holes, one at the top for the secondary burn, and 1 set of holes at the bottom for the fresh air to come in to feed the fire. I drilled 1/2 inch holes and spaced them 1.5 inches apart because the Hacksman and Brad from Fix This Build That told me to. But just like the Hacksman, I took some blue painter's tape, I marked them I made 1.5 inch marks all the way down the tape, placed it on the ring. I made 1/4 inch pilot holes first, then opened them up with a 1/2 inch drill bit. Now, please watch those edges because they are sharp, so be smart, wear some gloves, and wear some safety goggles. Just please be smarter than me because it's really not that hard to do. I meant that being smarter than me is not that hard to do, but also wearing gloves and safety goggles not that hard to do either. Just wanted to clear that up. So I'm putting the galvanized fire ring back, but I did end up putting 2 more sets of 1/2 inch vent holes. I felt like it needed more ventilation to get fresh air to feed that fire. And those are a lot of holes to drill. A lot of holes. Now we're going to start building up the retaining wall block. By the way, if your retaining wall block has these lips on the bottom, get rid of it, you don't need it. Now for my particular size retaining wall block, I was able to do this with 14 of them. But you want to make sure that you've got about 1 inch to 1.5 inch gap in between the fire ring and the block. Now that we have our first layer established, now we know where the sides meet. That's important because now we are going to remove 2 of them, cut 7 of them in half, or chisel them in half, whatever you want, and put it right where that seam goes. Now we know exactly where that seam is gonna be, and we have 100% support for the second course. And we have plenty of ventilation for fresh air. So what exactly is happening physically here to make this a smokeless fire pit? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't 100% understand it myself, but here's what I do understand. Fresh oxygen goes through these bottom vents and feeds the fire. The heat from the fire will then heat up the space in between the retaining wall block and the metal ring. Since we have the concrete cap closing that system off, the air in between the block and the ring is going to get so hot it's supposed to come out of the top vents and burn off the smoke. But we're going to hope for the best and see what happens. Now for the fun part, constructing the concrete compass. And probably the heaviest part. I'm gonna call for some backup. Remember how I told you to save that sod? And it's gonna match the rest of the grass perfectly. And if you have any other bare spots in your yard, again, this will match perfectly. So we just gotta do some fine adjusting, fill all these cavities up with some nice rocks, some nice river pebble rocks or something like that. And we can go ahead and start a fire. I'm gonna call that a success. It's only been burning for about 10 minutes, but it's had plenty of time to have smoke. It looks like it's breathing really well. Got a little smoke at the top, but I mean, I think that's expected. Not too shabby. I was really worried that I wasn't gonna be able to call this a smokeless fire pit video, but I can honestly guarantee you that no one, not your neighbors, not your friends, your family, no one is gonna have a fire pit like you if you do this. I'm happy. So I want to thank the Hacksman and Brad from Fix This Build That for all the inspiration here. Guys, don't subscribe to my channel today. Subscribe to the Hacksman and Fix This Build That. And I'll see you guys in the next one.